Bases dropped on a beautiful Thursday morning. It's even more beautiful when you have a trophy to add to the trophy case. Atlanta United wins the Campeones Cup last night at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, 3-2 in, I would say, an instant classic. I mean, it was a special night on the field. It was a special atmosphere. It was a very big evening, I think, for the club and I think for the league as well. And we'll see where this goes over time. Lots of things to talk about, lots of overreactions, underreactions, on-par reactions to get into, and we'll do that here on the show today. So tweet at us at Soccer Down Here. Let us know what you thought about last night's match, and let us know what you think that it means, if anything. You know, is it a big deal? Is it not a big deal? Is it, a friendly? Is it bigger than that? What is it? And we didn't really know yesterday what it would be. And it's not bigger because Atlanta United won. I think it's bigger because of the intensity of the match from both teams. It felt like a big deal just a couple of minutes in. There was no hesitation about teams going into this and going for it. It was, I think, everything that Major League Soccer and Liga MX hoped that this type of match could be when they partnered up to create it, John. It was a big deal, and I think both teams delivered a performance that was worthy of a match of the magnitude this will hopefully be in the long term.
There are a lot of competitions where you'll have something that's shoehorned into a schedule or early on, and this is across the planet, where one team or both looks groggy, for lack of a better word, and the play itself is sluggish, and it's not the most inspiring television for you if you're not in person, and you're wondering why events like this happen if this is going to be what the end product is going to be. But you didn't get that feel last night. With Campeones Cup, you had teams that went after it. And, if I'm not mistaken, you had one team that came out in a 4-2-4 to start things off. And
yeah, let's go into that real quick. Okay. Because I've seen that bounced around. Look, nobody's playing a 4-2-4 for 90 minutes. Not in the modern game. It's just like we always talk about, a 3-5-2 can be a 5-3-2. A 4-4-2 can be a 4-2-4. And it's all about where your wingers are positioned. Formations and calling them things, it's drastically overrated. What happened, the reason why it looked like a 4-2-4 often was because Ibargüen and Ibarra were both pushed up very high in the early going. But if you go back and look as the night went on, Ibarra was having to defend deep. Ibargüen was having to defend deep, and their influence on the match waned as the night extended.
So then let me put it this way. You had two teams that went after it.
Yeah, and that's the way to put it, is that you've got two teams that come in at Club America with an aggressive approach because, they were trying to get down the flanks because we've talked about it. You look at Atlanta United in a 3-5-2, and you see Julian Gressel, who can defend. It's not the strongest part of his game, but you want to make him defend because you don't want him to be able to deliver the crosses that he's so good with. And you see Dion Pereira on the other side. And if you're Renato Ibarra early on, you're licking your chops because you see a winger who has very little experience playing in that role. So you're going to push up very high, and you're going to go for it. The way you flip it, if you're not going to make changes to the personnel, if you're Atlanta United, the way you flip it is you fight fire with fire, and you attack behind their back, and you push them backwards. And ultimately, as Pereira grew into the game, as Gressel started to get forward a little bit more and threaten from that side, the outside backs for Club America had to stay home, and the wingers ended up getting pushed back deeper and deeper.
And, you saw two teams going after it, and it was a fun watch. And I think that when you have leagues create something, you want it for the casual fan to be something that you're drawing your eyes to, drawing attention toward. And you're not having teams playing quote unquote negative soccer. You're not having them just kind of kick the ball around and shake the cobwebs out. And then if somebody makes a horrific mistake, then something happens. I mean, it only took 13 minutes for the first 2 goals to hop up on the board. And I know that we'll get into the calls in a second. And I think the early contender also for thought of the day from the Twitters. But when you have a product like this, I think that, yes, you get into the fact that an MLS team won it for the first time. And we talked about it yesterday, where we thought Club America could be had because it's not the same Club America. Yes, it's Club America with the status and the stature and the kid and all of that goes with it. But we thought yesterday that they could be had, and sometimes it takes a thunderbolt to kind of shake the heavens a little bit. And I almost felt like Jack Burton and Pork Chop Express there when I was talking about that. But you have moments, and when you have a compilation of moments, you end up with a championship, and that's what happened last night.
It got started in the 5th minute. Emerson Heineman opened the scoring for Atlanta United a little unexpectedly. It was a great ball from Dion Pereira. Here's what it sounded like on 92.9 The Game.
Back pass to Ken, who now fires it down the near touchline to Escobar, who's clawed at by Rodriguez. Play on, says Aguilar. It goes inside to Nagbe. Tap back to him by Joseph. Nagbe sending it through now. Pereira with the back heel to Pitti in the box. Shot! Score! Emerson Heineman! And in the 5th minute, Atlanta United has struck first in the Campeones Cup.
The flick from Pereira to give Heineman the opportunity, and so smooth on the finish. Atlanta goes up 1-0. Renato Ibarra has already rattled one off the crossbar by this point, but he finds the underside of the bar in the 13th minute to equalize.
Pitti may have been stepped on by Rodriguez, and he lost the ball. A Barglin coming back. Down the near touchline, will pivot into the left attacking third, send it to the top of the 18 to Martinez. Martinez to the end line, fakes across, now plays it to the back post. Here's a shot, score. Ibarra. And we're even at 1 in the 13th minute.
Late in the first half, Pitti Martinez draws a penalty, goes to VAR. Penalty is called. Joseph Martinez goes for the hop, and that seems like that's all everybody wants to talk about after this game. And goalkeeper comes off his line, makes the save, but it's not retaken. Off his line, definitely off his line. Probably should have been retaken. Anyway, second half, 57th minute, corner kick for Club America, and Atlanta handles it very poorly. And Las Águilas take the lead.
Second corner of the half for Club America. This time it's Cordova in the near corner. Goal to our right. Cordova again going front post, gets through, and it's cleared off the line and then put back in for a goal. Club America's got a 2-1 lead here in the 57th minute.
Well, it was just a couple of minutes later that Jeff Larenowitz grabbed a chapter for himself in the book of Atlanta United.
Off into the far corner, Gressel. Cross at the penalty spot. It's knocked down by Cordova. It rolls now to Larenowitz. Shot from distance. Score! Golazo! And Atlanta United gets a thunderclap to equalize.
Just an unbelievable goal from Big Red. And then it's 2-2, but Atlanta's not done. And of all people, it's Florentin Pogba drawing a penalty to give Joseph an opportunity to put Atlanta on top.
Heineman dribbling through traffic down the middle. Scoops it over to Pereira. Inside to Pogba now. Dug down at the top of the 18. Penalty! Incredible! Joseph with hands on hips. Gets the whistle. Side step to the left. Up to the ball. Strikes it and scores! No hop that time for Joseph. A decisive penalty. And the champions of MLS have the lead with less than half an hour to play.
Club America then gets a red card, a second yellow to Bruno Valdez, and we're going to talk about that because that sequence showed the soccer IQ and the brilliance of a player like Joseph Martinez. But Atlanta's able to see it out, and this is what it sounded like at the final whistle.
Full time! There's another trophy for the case. Atlanta United wins the 2019 Campeones Cup.
Yeah, we were a little excited.
Slightly.
Just a little. It happens. It's a trophy.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big deal, and it was a match that I think deserved that and that type of atmosphere. And you saw it in the stands. You saw that passion in the stands. You saw it from the crowd. You saw it from the 17s. You saw it from the Great Club America fans. It was a great night at the soccer stadium, and these are the nights that if you love this game, you don't get every game like this. It's impossible. You never know what's going to happen when the whistle blows, but these are the ones that keep you coming back. These are the ones that you're going to remember because of the quality of the performance, and a lot of it is down to the approach from both teams, but also just the quality of everyone on the field. It was relentless. It was passionate. It was intense. It was sloppy at times because of that. It was played at a pretty high pace throughout. It was a great match, and it's one that Atlanta United played toe-to-toe with a club like Club America. You said something that I want to touch on. Atlanta United did not come in a timid way,
Nope.
in a meek way, in a deferential way to Club America. And yeah, this isn't quite the Club America that we've seen in the past, because in the past we've seen a Club America that dominated Mexico. This isn't that team anymore because of the power of Rayados and the power of Tigres up in Monterrey. Cruz Azul has a roster that's valued a little bit higher than Club America. It feels like a little bit of a consolidation for Club America because they've made some sales. They've got some money to work with. I think they're going to go out and make a couple purchases. I think they're going to go out and make a couple purchases in direct response to this match.
Mm-hmm.
But all that being said, Atlanta United this year went into Monterrey, didn't get the job done, gave up at least one goal they shouldn't have at the end, but turned it around in the second leg and got a win in 90 minutes, which nobody else did in that competition. And then you play Club America, who won the title in the Apertura in 2018. They won the Campeón de Campeones match to get here. And Atlanta United didn't really care who they were. Nope. And played them just like they would anybody else, except these games have a different level of intensity. The approach of clubs like this, you're playing, it's not an average Wednesday night match against, and no disrespect, but against a Colorado or, a team like that. It's not just an average match. So it's got a little bit of extra something to it. But the style of play, there's a little more intensity to it, and Atlanta rose to the occasion. And regardless of what the outcome was going to be at halftime, I told Mike that I felt like this was the kind of game that Atlanta United really needed to prepare for the stretch run, because this is a sneak preview of the intensity you're going to need in the postseason. This is a sneak preview of what you're going to need in the Open Cup final. This is a sneak preview of what you're going to need when you go to Yankee Stadium, when you go to Stade Saputo later, when you go to Portland on Sunday. Things have kicked up a notch. This took it up to another notch, and Atlanta United was able to get there and win the match.
Yeah, and you could, and I, full disclosure, listened to the two of you and had the volume down on and muted on the national telecast. And I wanted to do that so I could gauge the energy of Atlanta United and see it on a large television screen. And you could tell early on that there was extra sandpaper there. There was physicality there. They weren't backing down from any challenges. If there was a ball that was being chased after and you had guys grabbing kits, hands on the other guy's kit, and they're running in step with one another, that kind of extra, and it's hard to describe, but it's something that you can sense. You can see it, you can feel it, you can sense it, but there was that extra spice there last night. And to have that now to get you ready for the rest of the schedule when you're going to be going into those kinds of places, I think it was good for the guys to see that when called upon, when you need to have that you can call upon it and know that it's there and not back down from that extra energy and get a result that you're hunting for. So I thought that it was a good night for the guys to be able to look in the mirror and sit there and say, hey, we are able to do this kind of thing and get this kind of a result, regardless of who you were playing. But in this case, it was for a trophy and it was against Club America. But the fact that you can look yourself in the mirror at the end of the day and sit here and say, yeah, we went through the ringer and it was physical and it was a fantastic result. I think that a lot of pride can be taken from something like this because of the energy that was exerted a bunch of different ways.
A lot of pride better be taken out of it because you got another shiny thing to put in your trophy cabinet, and that's a lot of pride because you're the first MLS team to do it. You're the second Major League Soccer team to win a match with a trophy on the line against a Mexican team. Last time it happened was the 1998 CONCACAF Cup in RFK Stadium when DC beat Toluca. The 2000 LA Galaxy, when they won the CONCACAF Cup, they beat a Central American team. I believe, off the top of my head, it was Olympia of Honduras. And then Superliga final, which is the only other one, New England beat Houston in the final. And that's not quite the same level of competition because it's a Superliga, not a Champions League or a Campeones Cup. I don't know where this is going to stack up in the long run, but I do think that getting a result like this in the second match of this competition, and I'm using air quotes, in the history of it, I think it adds a little importance to it. I think next year it's going to have a little extra sauce on it. It's a big deal for the league, and I'm, as we've talked about many times, I'm a little surprised that it gets downplayed at times on the league side, and some of the reaction on their post-game show last night was a little baffling to me, but I'm not surprised by that anymore. I think what LGP said after the match, where he said, look, the old stories of MLS isn't that good and, they never could beat the Mexican teams and yada, 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 yada. Stop. Throw that out, just like the old school sports editors need to throw out the article that they've probably got on the old typewriter from 1984 about soccer's boring or soccer's not going to make it or whatever, that every once in a while gets brought back out. Isn't it Shaughnessy in Boston who does that all the time?
Yeah.
He rewrites it like once a year.
Back.
Yeah, he cuts and pastes and pulls it out once a year, changes a little bit of the things to it. You can throw that out. You can throw out the old trope that MLS can't compete with Mexico. You can throw that stuff in the trash because things are different now. I hope that other teams in these situations don't go in scared. And I hope that they realize, look, you can play. You look at the two rosters, and this was, Atlanta United did rotate more than I thought they would.
Yeah.
Didn't matter. They got it done, and they did it with style, and that's what was cool about it. Let's take a break. We want your reactions. It's an Overreaction Thursday. Tweet at us at @SoccerDownHere. Let us know what you think. We're going to get into those right after this.
Looking for future leaders we can trust and believe in? Look no further than the high school student athletes right here in Georgia. High school sports teach young people how to be effective leaders. It begins by making their grades and being on time for practice. It includes learning to listen, following directions, accepting responsibility, being a good role model. And it's about respect for officials, opponents, the rules, and each other. The result? It transcends sports. It gives us hope for the future. High school sports. There's so much more than just a game. This message presented by the Georgia High School Association and the Georgia Athletic Directors Association.
Today's show is presented by Appolinsky & Associates, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience, supporters of Atlanta United, Faction, and Inter-Atlanta Youth Football Club. If you've been hurt in a wreck, contact Steve today at steve@aa-legal.com or call in 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Welcome back. Soccer Down here, August 15th edition. The Campeones Cup is staying in Atlanta. It was brought here for the match last night, and it's not going anywhere. Goes into the trophy case up in Marietta. Atlanta United wins 3-2 over Club America in a classic, an absolute classic. It was a lot of fun last night at the Benz, as you could hear from the radio call, just a little bit. Let's hear from you guys. Tweet at us at Soccer Down here. What are the people reacting about this morning, John?
Well, I think the early contender for tweet of the day here for the show comes from Michael Bucklew.
Okay.
And we will make this happen. He says, where can I download a copy of At Longshoe Going Woo on Larry's Goal?
Look, I don't think you can separate it. So it's just in there.
Oh, we'll separate it.
No, I don't think you're going to be able to because it's just in the mix. That was funny because that's only the second time that's happened like that. The other one was Tito Villalba in San Jose. And both of them are similar in the sense that once the ball was struck, you just knew. It's like, when you see Ronald Acuna just smash one, comes off the bat, it's out of there. It's gone. That's what it felt like with this. We've seen Jeff take that type of shot before. He didn't pull it. He didn't lean back. It wasn't going high. It's going to try to rip the back of the net. Even it takes a deflection, doesn't matter. It's absurdly well hit. So that's why you got that reaction out of it. It happens.
Full-blown Bud Collins onomatopoeia, and it was awesome.
Okay.
And Andy Hollums, and this was immediately after the full-time report was over. Are there any mechanisms to bring players in after the window? Free agents, waivers, follow-up? What's the status of Gregory Vanderveel?
I don't think you want Gregory Vanderveel, first off. Maybe a few red flags based off what happened in Toronto. And remember, that's all reported, so it could have been different. I don't know what the status of Vanderveel is. It's a good question. I'm kind of surprised we haven't heard his name somewhere. You can bring in players. You can't bring in players internationally. You can bring in players who are free agents. And it sounds like, I know at one point there was a tweet back and forth, and we were trying to figure it out as well. At one point, they limited the players you could bring in to players who were already here domestically, and their last league they played in was in the United States because of the international transfer certificate process. I think that's changed. I think it's just as long as they are not contracted to a club, you can sign them up until the roster freeze, which is the 30th of August. Might be the 31st. That's right around the end of the month. So you've got a little bit of time, but you're very limited in who you can bring in. You can't bring anyone in on a transfer. It has to be somebody who was out of contract when the transfer window closed. Now, I do think domestically you can bring in a player from USL. Yeah, you can. You can't bring in an international transfer. You can bring in a domestic player from a USL team. Or sorry, you can bring in anybody from a USL team, but they have to be playing here in this country. You can't bring in a player from another country because that window is closed. So there's still some time and there's still some possibilities, but they're limited ones.
And to answer the question specifically about Vanderveer, it appears in an article in the Los Angeles Times from early June, he has bought a home in the Beverly Grove neighborhood of Los Angeles for $3.68 million.
He's good. He's not looking for anywhere. He's going to chill.
The contemporary-style house sits behind gates and has steps that ascend to a 23-foot glass front door, and the article continues. So that is your Gregory Vanderveer home update.
Maybe
love it or list it.
Maybe he's going to play indoor soccer with Jermaine Jones.
There you go. Alex at Cuppers. And since you already discussed folks on the national level downplaying what happened last night, I'm going to the second half of his question or statement. He says, glad to hear Charlie Davies talk about how Darlington Nagbe should be on the men's national team.
Nagbe was ridiculous, and I know DeMarcus Beasley's tweet made the rounds last night, as it should have. Nagbe just, man, there's not words. There's just not. To what he did and what he does in games like this where it's bigger stakes, bigger intensity, you got to be even more careful in a lot of ways not to have a turnover. Nagbe just is one of the best. I mean, I always remember, and I referenced it on the Full-Time Report, I always remember, I believe it was Xavi from Barcelona in an article in 442. And it was an article about Paul Scholes, but Xavi said that the Barcelona guys always watched Paul Scholes and said he could play with us. Darlington Nagbe had that kind of performance last night. He would fit into that kind of team that wants the ball, cherishes the ball, doesn't want you to have it, is going to move it around, going to make you move, going to create openings and make things happen. The reason you want to build a possession style is because you have players like a Darlington Nagbe who can do it in such a special way. He's able to make things happen by himself. And on our on Southern Fried Soccer last night with Doug Robertson, Doug talked about his conversation with Jeff after the match. And Lorenowitz talked about, and Felipe Cardenas also talked about it in terms of the way the game kind of played out, especially in the early going. And you mentioned the 4-2-4, John. It was playing that way because Club America was able to get their wingers up so high. And when that was happening, Lorenowitz dropped deeper and deeper to try to match that in some ways. And that left Nagbe by himself. And Doug said that Jeff was basically to Darlington like, look, I can't help you. You're going to have to switch the point of attack now by yourself. I can't get there because I got to get back and defend. And Darlington was able to do it. And it wasn't honestly that long of the match that Club America looked like they were playing a 4-2-4 because Nagbe was able to be effective. For me, a lot of it was Dion Pereira because as Dion Pereira was able to drive at Paul Aguilar and push him back deeper and deeper to defend, that brought Ibarra back because he had to help double down. On the other side, Gressel was pushing forward. Ibargüen was having to drop. So you're able to take away what Club America was doing that worked with their wingers playing up very high, almost in the same line as their two forwards, not by just throwing numbers behind the ball, but by getting your organization defensively first and then saying, all right, we're going to do what we do to take what you're doing away. And they did. Atlanta didn't change who they were. They didn't change their personality. They didn't change their identity. They just flat out outplayed Club America in those moments and took away those wingers. I mean, Ibarra, I was terrified of Renato Ibarra in the first 15 minutes.
Yeah.
He didn't really do much after that. Ibargüen was really inconsequential for the most part. And if Club America in the setup they had last night, if that wasn't happening, they didn't have a whole lot else. And they get the goal from good play and Ibarra getting the goal. They get the second off of just an awful defensive effort on a set piece on a corner. And that was it. Atlanta really put the clamps down as the night went on, and not because of sheer defense, but because they were able to get organized defensively and then go push Club America back. That's what was really impressive to me.
In all of my 4 pages of note-taking, you mentioned Ibarra. The only other time after the 13th minute I have Ibarra in my notes is when he grabbed his ankle on the sideboards in the 56th.
Yeah, I mean,
that's the only other time I haven't mentioned in the notes. No. John Roper. What a game! Exclamation point. At USMNT, where are y'all at for Darlington, Nagbe, and Miles Robinson? Also listening to the morning show this morning. Even Big Hugh 5'3" heard the shade from ESPN commentary. # Overreaction Thursday.
Yeah. Hugh asked me about that on the morning show. I haven't heard the whole match on TV, so I can't really speak too much to it.
I muted off,
and it was what it was. I watched the post-match show from MLS Digital. I don't understand the mentality. And look, I'm not asking them, even though I would understand if they would, because it's their property. You know, I mean, this is a tournament that MLS and Liga MX created to make it a big deal. I have no idea why one side of that is downplaying it when their squad wins the thing. I have no idea why you would even hint at downplaying it. Mm-hmm. If it was the opposite, if it was, we're going to make this the biggest thing ever, even if it's not, but we're going to do that because this is our competition, then yeah, I understand it. That's what you do. It's called promotion. It's called marketing. I don't know why you would downplay it. I'm blown away by some of that, and I'm blown away by so much time spent on Joseph's penalty hop. Like, that's the talking point? You want to make a big deal coming out of this? Come on. I don't know, and I don't want to be super cynical and say that it's because Atlanta won. If it was the LA Galaxy who won, or if it was everybody's favorite Toronto, or the Red Bulls, or whoever.
But then let me take the other side real quick. Let me take the other side. Say the MLS team loses, regardless of who it is. What do you think the response is nationally with that particular product?
I don't think they're talking about it. I think they do the same stuff, but they're not talking about it. It depends on how the game goes. I don't know. I don't know how MLS would approach it, because I'm trying to remember. We had a match the night of Campeones Cup last year, so I didn't get to consume it in the same way. I don't know what the post-game show was like when Toronto lost. I remember a lot of talk about Toronto's situation, which made it a complicated match for them, and they really didn't have the ability to truly go for it because of that. This one was different. This should be, in my mind, treated as a big deal, and I don't get it from a marketing standpoint. I don't get it from a presentation standpoint. I don't know why you would have any negativity towards it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, it doesn't make sense, but it's like we've talked about many, many times when it comes to these things. I feel like for whatever reason, other clubs get a pass, or other clubs get more attention, or other clubs get treated differently, and Atlanta doesn't. And I don't know why. I don't know if it's just a basic Atlanta bias that I've noticed in sports in general. That could also be me being a little biased the other way. I completely and fully understand that. But this is a big deal for Major League Soccer. And no, it doesn't mean that MLS is better than Liga MX on the whole. It doesn't mean that every Major League Soccer club is better than every club in Mexico. It doesn't mean that now MLS will win the CONCACAF Champions League and no Mexican team will make the semifinals. It doesn't mean any of that.
But on this night, last night, where you're a party to something that you've helped create, your reigning champion in their barn knocks off the Campeón de Campeones of Liga MX, and you're just kind of like, eh.
All I'm going to say is this. We did an hour of post-match conversation on radio as we were finishing up. I believe Joseph Martinez was finishing up with the TUDN post-match show. He was there with them for quite a while. The MLS digital recap on their website was about 10 minutes, maybe. And the broadcast, I don't know how long they went after the match, but I don't think they had any kind of a post-match show.
They didn't. It was a little bit of the trophy presentation. You see Jeff raise the trophy, then they go lower third, credit, copyright, see you.
So, I mean, it's just like we talked about yesterday with the NWSL and the U.S. women's side. If you don't make the content accessible, if you don't put it out there, if you don't make it easy for fans to follow, discuss, understand, have something to talk about, guess what? People don't talk about it. And when you're in control of so much of this because it's your event and you're doing a lot of your stuff on digital, so you're not worried about commercial breaks, you're not worried about selling things, you're not worried about hitting marks. It's a video presentation. You go as long as you want. I don't know. Front page news all over sports pages in Mexico. I don't know why, since so much of the coverage comes from MLS itself, why it's not a bigger deal. I really don't, because at some point MLS has to start beating Mexican teams on a more regular basis. They do. This is a step in that direction. And it happened on a night where you had 5 other league matches scheduled. And it happened on a night that, on MLS Soccer's website right now, your 6 big stories, 3 of them are Atlanta winning. And then it's games, from around the league, because there were other games that happened last night. If you want it to be a big deal, treat it like a big deal. That means big coverage. That means no other games going on the same night. That means treating it with the respect that you want fans to respond to. So I hope that happens at some point, because this can be a great thing. It can be that Super Cup that we've talked about between the U.S. and Mexico. It's the 2 champions. It is the champion of champions. Cool. But nobody really knows about it if you don't talk about it or treat it right.
4-card Ahmed. It's a good sign when for 3 or 4 matches you think Atlanta United maybe played its best game of the season. Then they go and beat the Liga MX champions to win their first international trophy.
Pretty cool. I mean, yeah, it's not the CONCACAF Champions League. It's not a trophy with a lot of history, but you won a match against international competition. It's a big deal. And you raised your level to do it. That's what's, I think, so impressive about it is you look back at these last few matches Atlanta's played, and it feels like better and better and better and better. You have the good win against the Galaxy. They're not at full strength. You take advantage of it. You punish them for it. Then you go to Orlando without Joseph. You find a way through that. Then you go toe-to-toe with NYC, one of the best teams in this league. You beat them at their own game. Then you get Club America coming into your house. Put up your best performance of the season. Gutsiest performance of the season. So that's progress. That's building to something that could be special if they can keep moving forward in this way.
The commissioner, Jason Wright of the Jason Wright Agency, at Jason Wright with a W-A-G-E-N on Twitter. Does Tito not playing in the match last night reveal that Frank de Boer lacks trust in him, or was that potential sub derailed when Escobar was subbed first half? I lean toward the latter.
Yeah, it's 100% the latter. This stuff pops up, and I get it, and people get worried about things whenever anything happens, because there were a lot of questions about Barco last night. Look, Frank's spoken a lot about Tito and how important he is to this team, and it feels like he's giving a 10-minute, update on Tito Villalba every time he speaks to the media. So, no, I don't think it has anything to do with a lack of trust in him. And I wish that that wasn't an assumption, but it happens a lot. Whenever there's a decision made, I think sometimes we just overthink these things. You have to make a substitution before halftime because of an injury, and your whole plan is thrown out. The way the match played out, I can't think of a time I would have made the sub because you're going to pull Pitti or Joseph. And both played really well. You pulled Pitti late, and you brought on Barco very late, partially to waste time, partially for fresh legs. You're not pulling Joseph off that field. So you really were limited. That's how it goes sometimes. You can't, and I talked about it a lot. I thought that they would force Villalba into this game, and they would create a substitution plan and make him play. Gwen agrees. She was very excited.
Yes.
But they didn't do that. And the way the game plays out sometimes, you can't guarantee a sub if you don't make a plan like that and address it off the jump. So it just didn't work out. And that's okay. And a lot of questions about Barco and, was he angry? Was he sad about not playing much? I think he was frustrated because he didn't play well when he came on. And he had opportunities to put the game away, and he didn't. It happens. Completely, it happens. These guys are passionate. These guys want to be superstars. They want to be heroes. And it doesn't always happen that way, I've been reading a biography on Lionel Messi, and he talked about the first Champions League that he was part of, Champions League final, when Barca beat Arsenal, and Messi was breaking into the team, trying to come back from injury, really race against time. He thought that he was ready to go. He had come back a little early, a couple times earlier in his career, and hurt himself again. It was Frank Rijkaard as the manager at that time. Rijkaard told him the day before, I can't play you. You're not gonna dress. Whole game, whole day, Messi was down, team celebrating. Messi didn't feel like he should even be part of the celebration, even though he was part of getting the team there. Went to the locker room, cried, sad, upset. Teammates had to go get him and bring him back into the group, and then he realized, I'm stupid. This is a really big deal, and I'm glad I've contributed to it. I wish I could have contributed in the final. Everybody wants that, but it doesn't always happen. So you can't overreact to things in these situations. I don't know why. I think we do that more in the U.S. Maybe it's just the way that we've experienced the game. Maybe it's just the way that our athletes in all sports are kind of taught and trained to not show emotion because I guess it's weakness. I don't know. It's not the case internationally. It's not the case, I think, when this game is honestly played right because it's an emotional game. And you have to completely let yourself go and feel it. And, yeah, Barco had a couple chances for magic last night, and he just didn't quite have it. I think he had the one run where it's 1v1 with a defender, tries to play it to one side, get on the other, defender takes it off of him. Had the chance at the very end that goalkeeper's out scrambling, and I think it came off of Barco's arm. I think he was just frustrated about his performance. You get over that fast, and it's going to spur him on to play better next time and contribute more. And you want to get Barco 90 minutes fit. Ultimately, you want to get Tito 90 minutes fit. Don't freak out about things like that happen on a night. One game, one night, one reaction doesn't mean everything. It means that game was important.
Michael Cinco. I am consistently amazed by Nagbe's ability to walk the ball out of a three-man press, PT's 40-yard darts to his teammates, and Julian's consistent pinging of the back post with crosses. # celebration Thursday. Atlanta United claims trophy number 1 of 2019. Open Cup is must-see.
Yep. I mean, this team in matches where you lose and you go home this season, and not second legs, not two-game aggregates. I'm talking U.S. Open Cup and then this one. they haven't lost. They found a way to win it every time. Hasn't been easy, but they found ways to win these games where they've had to. It's pretty cool. It's a good sign. And when you look at the postseason format this year, well, it's a really good sign. But Open Cup is the next one, and Minnesota doesn't care about any of that. Minnesota, I don't think they come in and be defensive. I think they open it up and play because that's what's best for them. If they come in and play defensively, I think Atlanta rips them apart. If they come in and play toe-to-toe, well, they're going to keep Atlanta on their heels because Minnesota can attack, and they're much better defensively than they've ever been. That's going to be a game that you definitely have to see because it could be trophy number 2 in 2019 for Atlanta United. Let's take a quick break. We'll get into more of your reactions right after this.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yep, he's just letting you know you did good.
Bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
I'm gonna let you go now. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
As a business owner, you know that every year brings new challenges and opportunities. The success of your business demands expertise and focus. And Country Financial can help you keep that focus by helping ensure you have the right insurance protection in place to meet your goals. Jason Wright can help you create a customized insurance plan that has coverages designed just for your business. Give Jason a call at 678-568-6871 or reach him on Facebook at Jason Wright Agency. Coverages vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
This is what matters. This is beyond X's and O's. This is the difference mutual respect makes. This is what character looks like. This is what defines us in Georgia. This is sportsmanship. School sports. It's not the outcome that matters most, but the way the games are played. This message presented by the Georgia High School Association and the Georgia Athletic Directors Association.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, contact my friend Steve Apolinski of Apolinski and Associates. He's been representing individuals for over 30 years throughout Georgia and Alabama. Email him at steve@aa-legal.com or call him 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
Welcome back, SDH, August 15th, Overreaction Thursday, reacting to Atlanta's win over Club America last night, 3-2 at the Benz to lift the Campeones Cup. What else do we have on the Twitters?
This is drawing some discussion and disagreement on the timeline, but I'll start with the beginning. Cairo is saying Atlanta United should punt the Timbers match, save the cross-country trip and the match on short rest for anyone that needs it, prepare for the big matches at Orlando and against Minnesota United in the U.S. Open Cup final on a quick turn.
They're not quick turns. I think none of them are quick turns because you'll be back here on Monday. You go to Orlando for a game on Friday. That's a really short trip that doesn't affect you too much. Then you're right back from Orlando for Minnesota on Tuesday. So that's a Sunday, Friday, Tuesday, Saturday run is what you're looking at. You've got some time in between them. I think also you kind of have it set up for you to play some guys who are going to be fresher in Portland, and then they should be fine for Orlando. Merrim played, 30 minutes or so. Barco played just a few minutes. Villalba maybe can start. Remedi didn't dress. Robinson played a little over a half. That's 5. Brad Gazan got the night off. That's that was a surprise last night, but
yeah,
he'll be fine. So you could go with a team that is fairly well rested. You could bring Michael Parkhurst into the back line if you want to. You could
Mo Adams.
You could bring Mo Adams into the midfield if you want to, but you got Eric Remedi as well. I mean, Let's not forget that. So you've got options. You've got plenty of options. You could go Remedi and either Hindman or Nagbe or Mo Adams if you want. With Barco as your 3 midfielders, you could go Tito, Joseph, if you want to give Pitti the night off or come off the bench. You've got the opportunity not to punt Portland, but bring in fresh legs and then play guys who are ready to go. I think you're set up to be in a really good spot.
Matt Wagner, great match last night with the intensity turned up to 11. Hopefully Escobar isn't hurt too bad. And he wanted to know if Remedi was okay. His Instagram makes it look like he's hurt. And then Matt went into Barco, and we talked about Barco already.
Yeah, I didn't see anything to make it look like Remedi was hurt. I don't know. I haven't heard anything. Escobar hamstring is what was said after the match. He was out celebrating afterwards. It can be a hamstring tweak or it can not feel right, but be okay to walk around and celebrate. Is he going to be ready to play on Sunday? Might be a big ask. But again, you've got cover. You've got Michael Parkhurst who can come into that back line. It means you're probably going to have to play Julian Gressel again. And that's the one that I'm like, man, I'd like to get him a game off here somewhere, at least coming off the bench somewhere, but it might not be this time. You might, maybe it's Orlando. Maybe you look at it for Orlando. Maybe that's where it happens. I'm not sure, but he's the one that I keep kind of looking at as, man, he's putting in a lot of minutes and a lot of shifts here and a lot of work he's having to put in. You'd like to get him some time off here at some point.
John Dolzar has put out an APB for his vocal cords. And
I didn't blow mine out, but yeah. I know the feeling.
And Nathan Pugh, for his on-par reaction, says, even with a trophy on the line, I was pretty bleh going into the match. Just didn't want any injuries. 2 minutes in, I wanted it. High intensity from the off. Very exciting match with two teams that came to play Campeones.
Yeah, it was a good one. And a lot of that is credit to Club America for the way they came in and approached it. I mean, they went for it. They thought that, hey, we can get these guys out wide, and we're going to push Ibarra and Ibargüen and make them deal with it. Well, Atlanta did deal with it. They took control of the game. They took it back. So that's a credit to Frank DeBoer and his staff. It's a credit to Atlanta United's players. But that's what you want in games like this. And yeah, if this was a Champions League final, maybe it has a different feel than this. Maybe you're a little freer to go for it here because it's Campeones Cup. It's not the same thing yet. Yet being the key word. Made for a great spectacle last night. I think it raised the level of the match, the competition, and I think it definitely changes the perception internationally. If the national side doesn't want to understand that this is a big deal and doesn't want to treat it that well, then fine. Internationally, this has changed the perception of Major League Soccer and Atlanta United 100%.
Daniel Price with a prize picks update. Looks like he went 50-50 last night and did well with Zlatan and Darwin. However, Nani and Valeri let him down. John Dolzar comes back and says, it's amazing to think in a 56-week stretch, we will have seen the MLS All-Stars versus Juventus, MLS Cup Final, Monterrey CONCACAF Champions League, Club America Campeones Cup, and the U.S. Open Cup Final. Incredible.
That's crazy in like a 13-month span. That's absolutely nuts. That's what's special about all of this. And that's why I know you get frustrated with the ups and downs of a season. I know that, when the team doesn't play well, you get angry. When things happen, you get annoyed. I know. I get it. It's all good. Everybody goes through that. But, man, would you trade to be a Colorado Rapids fan? Would you trade to be even a Real Salt Lake fan?
FC Cincinnati, Columbus.
Anybody, not even just teams at the bottom. Would you trade what you've had in Atlanta for what LAFC has right now? LAFC has more questions in my mind about going into the postseason in year 2 than Atlanta did. We'll see. But no, this is special. When you get all of those things, you get an all-star game, which is a lot of fun. You get a playoff run like last year. You get the Open Cup run like this year. You get this match. Yeah, it's a special place to be, and Atlanta is 100% Soccer City, USA.
Sheba has a tactical question.
Okay.
Can you explain the two-man defending plus the goalie when PT took his free kick? Is that a normal thing? I've never seen it before.
That's ultimate and utter respect for Pity Martinez as a free kick taker, because that is, well, my goalkeeper can't cover the whole goal, and Pity Martinez can place it wherever he wants. So we're going to put everybody back and try to deal with it. Now, you also saw Atlanta's response to that was Emerson Heineman right in front of the goalkeeper because he's onside, just jumping up and down and trying to screen the goalkeeper. So that's why it doesn't happen that often, because it can complicate other things. But that is the ultimate sign of respect for Pity Martinez's ability to hit a free kick, because they felt like no matter what wall they set, their goalkeeper could not keep it out for sure, and they wanted to be sure. So they put a player on each post. And it worked because Pity Martinez picked out the upper 90, and it took a header off the line to clear it.
And I guess, do we end hour number 1 with the host of Soccer Over There with a statement about last night?
Sure, let's do it.
Quote from Nick Alifi. I have always valued the Campeones Cup and was a firm believer in the value it brings to stakeholders both here and in Mexico. I look forward to future one-game tournaments and will make no further statement regarding this subject. Thank you, end quote.
It's not a tournament. It's just a game. It's like a Super Cup. You know, they had one of those in Europe. It's okay. It's okay. It was fun. I didn't know what to make of it. I didn't know how it would feel, but man, once you got into that, you could tell that it was a pretty special night on hand at the Benz. We're going to get into more of your reactions in hour number 2. Hang out with us. We'll be right back after this.
Looking for future leaders we can trust and believe in? Look no further than the high school student athletes right here in Georgia. High school sports teach young people how to be effective leaders. It begins by making their grades and being on time for practice. It includes learning to listen, following directions, accepting responsibility, being a good role model. And it's about respect for officials, opponents, the rules, and each other. The result? It transcends sports. It gives us hope for the future. High school sports. There's so much more than just a game. This message presented by the Georgia High School Association and the Georgia Athletic Directors Association.
Today's show is presented by Appolinsky & Associates, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience, supporters of Atlanta United, Faction, and Inter-Atlanta Youth Football Club. If you've been hurt in a wreck, contact Steve today at steve@aa-legal.com or call in 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
You're listening to Soccer Down Here daily on SDH Networks, a division of OSG Sports. Find us at Soccer Down Here on Facebook and Twitter. The time is now the top of the hour. Peep, y'all.
Welcome back. Hour number 2, Soccer Down Here. Atlanta United wins the Campeones Cup last night, 3-2 over Club America. And whoever is the social media detective and thought that Eric Remedi looked like he was injured, well, there might be a little something to that. According to our friend Felipe Cardenas, he just tweeted a little bit ago that he heard last night Eric Remedi has a quad injury. That's why he was held out last night. Could be doubtful for Sunday's match at Portland. Club spokesperson unable to comment. And we probably won't get an update until Friday when Frank DeBoer speaks to the media. The team's going to train today with Regen, guys who didn't play last night. Tomorrow, training session. They will head to Portland tomorrow after the training session. Train in Portland on Saturday. Play Sunday evening. It's a 10 o'clock Eastern match. It's a 7 o'clock local time match. Portland last night, it was a little more complicated than it appeared it was going to be. They get a 3-2 win over Chicago. They get an early red card, Alexander Katai. They get 2 early goals. They're up 2-0 in the 21st minute. 10-man Chicago pulls one back through Nemanja Nikolic. Brian Fernandez in the 88th minute. Okay, it's 3-1. Looks like all is good again. Then CJ Sapong scores, and it's 3-2, and it's still a little nervy. So, since Brian Fernandez joined the Timbers, Portland is 8-3-3. He is going to be a handful for Atlanta on the weekend. Now, there is a question about Larius Mabiala. He came out injured in this match, and the early talk about that, unknown. I believe it was hamstring. I'm going to confirm that right now. Jamie Goldberg of the Oregonian had an update. And I'm scrolling. Hamstring, yes. Don't know the severity just yet. Gio Savarese confirmed that after the match. So you'd have to think that he's doubtful for Sunday. Franco Escobar, because he came out of the match last night, you'd have to think he's doubtful. And now Eric Remedi, you can add him to the doubtful list for Sunday. So we go back and we talk about the midfield, what it can look like. Eric Remedi, if he is doubtful, you're looking at a midfield that could be Emerson Hyndman, Darlington Nagbe, Ezekiel Barco. You're looking at a midfield that could be Mo Adams, Hyndman, Nagbe, or Barco for one of those guys. You've got some options. Jeff Larentowicz could turn around again and play again. That's very possible, too. You've got cover. Not what you want to see. I think Eric Remedi's been just absolutely outstanding as of late. But quad injury, you want to be careful with it. You need to sit him. We'll find out more tomorrow when Frank DeBoer speaks to the media. Other results last night around the league, because there were 5 games on tap. Zlatan Ibrahimovic must listen to the show, and when you question him, he just scores goals. He gets 2 last night. The Galaxy win 2-0 over Dallas. Zlatan in the 68th. Zlatan from the spot in the 82nd. First shutout since a 2-0 home win over Toronto back on the 4th of July. The standings in the West, we'll update those in a second because they are funky after Real Salt Lake demolished the Seattle Sounders 3-0 at Rio Tinto. Sam Johnson in the 25th, Albert Rusnak in the 71st, Corey Baird keeps putting goals on the board in the 87th. RSL moved way up the table, and Seattle, Minnesota moved up the table as well. They had to work, but Darwin Quintero's 39th minute goal holds up, and the Loons win 1-0 over the Colorado Rapids at Allianz Field. That's a good win. And it looks like Minnesota right now is in a really good spot to host the playoff game. It's been a great year for Minnesota United. It could be a special year for Orlando City as well. They win 1-0 over Sporting Kansas City. Tesho Akindele in the 21st minute. They are even on points with 7th place Montreal. Both teams have played 26 matches. Orlando is also even with Montreal on goal differential with -11. The Eastern Conference bottom end of the table is going to come down to the wire, and Orlando's not going anywhere. This adds a little bit of extra spice to the game coming up with Atlanta heading down there. So your updated table at the end of last night's matches. Eastern Conference, Philadelphia in first on 45. Atlanta second on 42. Game in hand on Philly. DC third on 39. Atlanta has a game in hand on them. But NYC, 38 points. They have 3 games in hand on Philly, 2 games in hand on Atlanta. 4 points behind Atlanta. Red Bulls, 37 points, 25 matches played, same as Atlanta. Revolution, 34, 25 matches played, same as Atlanta. Montreal, Orlando, Toronto, all on 33. Montreal is in the 7th spot, in the final playoff spot, because they have 10 wins. Orlando and Toronto have 9. Toronto has a game in hand on both Montreal and Orlando. 10th place Chicago is not out of it with 30 points. 3 points out of that final playoff spot, but there's 3 teams sitting in that spot. Chicago's also played more games than anyone else. They've played 27. So they can't afford to drop any more points. Columbus, it's probably too far gone. They're on 26 and 26 matches played. Cincinnati, it's definitely too far gone. 18 points on 25. 25 games played. All right, out west. Now, after last night's action, LAFC, 55 points through 24 games. Minnesota's in second, 41 points on 25 games played. Third is the LA Galaxy, 40 points, 25 games played. They've won 13. That's why they are ahead of Real Salt Lake. Same number of points, same number of games played. RSL has a better goal differential, but wins is the first tiebreaker. LA Galaxy has 13 of them. RSL has 12. Seattle goes from second to start the day yesterday to 5th after the loss. They're on 39 points, 25 games played. San Jose Earthquakes, 38 points, 24 games played. They have a game in hand over everybody ahead of them except for LAFC. Portland also has a game in hand on everybody ahead of them except for San Jose and LAFC. They're on 37 points. They're in the final playoff spot now. Dallas, with the loss, falls out of the playoff spots. They're on 36 points with 26 games played. They've played at least 1 game more than everybody ahead of them, 2 more than some of the teams ahead of them. You're going back 6 more points to 9th place with Houston. Coaching change. Do they get a coaching change bounce? We'll see. Sporting Kansas City, 28 points, 25 games played. They're really in a funk. I think it's done for them. It's done for Colorado on 26 points. It's done for Vancouver on 24. 8 teams battling in the West. 5 points separate 2nd and 8th place in the Western Conference. 10 teams in the East. And when you get down to the 6th spot, 4 points separate 6th through 10th in the Eastern Conference. Yeah, we're going to have a lot to talk about down the stretch.
Yeah.
Lots of things, and we'll preview the weekend tomorrow for you.
Yeah, no, my biggest question for you after last night's results is, are we officially putting a fork in Sporting Kansas City?
Yep. They had to get something there. They're just too far back. So, yeah, I think Sporting and Houston are done. I think it's 8 teams fighting for the 7 spots in the West.
Hopping back into the Twitters, because a lot of folks are wishing to comment about what happened last night.
Okay.
A common topic of conversation, and a lot of folks have kind of blanketed this as a topic, is the play of Pity Martinez last night, and using the term diferente and seeing what he's been able to do and ramping up his game the last, say, month, 6 weeks or so, and really enjoying what they're seeing with Pity Martinez. And last night was an example of that against competition from Liga MX.
Pity Martinez is a special player, and I think we're starting to see more and more of that every time out. Look, it's hard to have the same feeling about every match you play, but big money players get up for games like last night. And Pitti was up for it from the jump. And I thought he really led the team by example in a lot of ways. I know a lot of people are going to zero in on, well, he was defending and he was tracking back and he was making tackles. I will say it every single time. I don't care. I want the 60-yard ball on a dime. I want the laser switching the point of attack. I want the swagger. I want a nutmeg. I want a free kick that's going to go in the upper 90, but Club America puts 2 guys on the line because they're scared of Pitti Martinez. I want the dribbling moves. I want the ridiculous, audacious ability that Pitti Martinez has. If he makes a tackle, cool. That's a nice bonus. That is the cherry on top of the milkshake that doesn't really change anything to me. It always will be that case. When he does the rest, it's great. It's a nice bonus. But if he doesn't do any of that and gives you everything in the attacking end, cool. I'm happy.
And it's just, it stuns me sometimes, especially nationally, where people continue to, and I'm going to go ahead and use the word, crap on Pitti Martinez.
They're just not keeping up. I mean, that's the thing that I think more and more I'm seeing is people nationally don't consume Atlanta United like we do, obviously, because we live it and breathe it. But the storylines around the league sometimes feel just a little not up to date. And it's something that, I mean, I can tell you because we've talked about it. We've talked about it here with SDH. We talk about it with 92.9 The Game. I think a massive part of covering this team is covering the league that they play in. And that's why we talk about Zlatan Ibrahimovic running his mouth. That's why we talk about Dom Dwyer missed another shot from 6 yards out last night, which blows my mind. I don't know.
He airmailed another one last night?
Yeah, he's got the yips or something. It just makes no sense.
I think so. I think that's the best way to put it.
That's why we talk about Minnesota United's 3-year plan. That's why we talk about these things around the league. Chicago making me throw things on a yearly basis. Because you need to know the whole story. Because that's what we do with every other sport. If you're here in Georgia and you're a Georgia fan, you're not ignorant to what's going on with Alabama or Tennessee or Florida. You need to know what they're doing. If you're a college football fan, if you're an Alabama fan, well, you need to know what Georgia's doing. You need to know what Clemson's doing, too. You're following it. If you're a Falcons fan, you're following to know what's going on in New Orleans and the Panthers. I don't think that happens enough with MLS. I know it does in other markets locally. And that's one reason why the narratives, the storylines, they're not there. So we put a lot of work into talking about the league as a whole, and I hope it helps give a better context, because that's the point to me. And I just think sometimes nationally, it's like you drop in and, oh, well, Pitti Martinez was playing bad before, and people were upset. So that's what we're going to talk about. That was a month ago. Pitti's played 5-6 games in a row that are at an extremely high level. And, oh, yeah, it felt like it was an overreaction a month ago, by the way, to begin with. So, catch up. We're here. We'll keep doing what we're doing. But I hope at some point they can move past that stuff. Because I'm sure in another month and a half or so, we're going to have talks about the Frank de Boer walkout. They were going to have a walkout at the stadium. Yeah. Let's get an update. No, that was a long time ago, and that was a troll account anyway. So
reaction.
Relax. Yes. Delayed reaction. That's what it feels like.
Something else that's popped up on the timeline this morning, and as a topic of conversation, and a lot of folks have chimed in on it, and Daniel Price is the most recent. The idea that a lot of folks initially coming into last night weren't all that hyped about the matchup, and then when they get in the building and they get involved in the match and they see what's going on, their opinion changed practically on a dime and really got engaged.
Because you didn't know what it was. It's the second time this match has been played. I mean, we talked about it, I think, on this show yesterday. We talked about it on Stoppage Time yesterday. Talked about it on 92.9 The Game. Like, what does it mean? What's it going to feel like? I don't know. You really don't know until you get into it. And I think two big things for me. Once you got down near the stadium and saw so many Club America fans, and I hope it's something that people understand, and we talked about it on the broadcast. Look, for Club America fans who live in the Atlanta area or live anywhere in the Southeast, because you had a lot of people who came from miles away for this because Club America hasn't been here in a long time. They haven't been in Atlanta since 2010 when they played Manchester City. They played Milan the year before that. I don't remember them playing. I want to say they might have played in Nashville since. Don't think they played in Charlotte. They haven't played in Birmingham. If you have grown up as a Club America fan, and they are one of the biggest teams in Mexico, so there are a lot of people here from Mexico who grew up Club America fans, you're going to come see your team play. Now, what's cool and what I thought was really cool walking through the Gulch was I saw a lot of Atlanta United fans who are also fans of Club America. And I heard I'd look over, I'd hear like Atlanta songs or Atlanta chants. I'd look over and it'd be a bunch of guys in Club America gear. And then I'd look over and see a bunch of Atlanta United fans, and they're talking to Club America fans, and everybody's hanging out. And there were tacos everywhere, and La Doce had a mechanical bull down there in the Gulch, and no, I did not ride the mechanical bull. I was not going to break my neck before the game.
Wait, what? Wait, a mechanical bull?
Yes, they had the ride of the mechanical bull in the Gulch. Mike Bell might have rode the bull by the end of the day. I don't know for sure. He hadn't ridden it.
Mike Bell might have bought the bull by the end of the day.
It might be in his place. I don't know. But he hadn't ridden it by the time I left. I do know that much. It was a great atmosphere. That helped raise the expectations and raise the level of what you were going to experience. And in the game itself, two teams that come out with a great mentality, a great approach, and it's a great match. And if you're a neutral, you're going to love it. If you are a fan of either team, you're going to love it. And what I like is that, okay, for Atlanta United fans, you didn't really know what this was going to be. It's the first time you've been in this. It's the second time the match has been played. I love that the Club America fans took it so seriously. I love that Club America as an organization took it so seriously. I love that they gave it the importance that it deserved. That's awesome, because that doesn't always happen. They didn't downplay it afterwards. They didn't say it's not a big deal. Some fans did, because they were little feelings were hurt, and that happens. It's understandable. But
yeah.
The club didn't downplay it. You could hear the hurt in Miguel Herrera's voice afterwards. He was not happy about losing that match. The media's not downplaying it. That's big. They took the match seriously. It was a great match because of it, because the fans took it seriously. The fans came out for both teams, and it was a really great atmosphere. What you doing there, John? John?
Okay. Doug Shipman. Sorry, I'm trying
what was
to
all
pull
that noise? I'm trying to get an update on what you were doing there, because that didn't make any sense.
I am based in Tifton, Georgia today. We'll be back at Office HD tomorrow.
Okay.
So we're heading to our first shoot of the day, catching up with Tift Blue Devils head coach Ashley Anders before we're on the road for the rest of the afternoon and evening.
Okay. So you have an interview you need to take care of right now, correct?
Not right now. I mean, we're driving to the high school, so I mean it's
Okay. So we're good. So here's what we're going to do. While you're getting settled in the van, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to get reset. You know, I just making sure, we heard engines rev up. Just, you got to check on these things.
Yeah, I'm not driving.
Okay, that's good. No,
Shane Keating is driving. He's in charge of directions and videography.
Good job, Shane. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back after this.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but he's just letting you know you did good.
Bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
I'm gonna let you go now. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
As a business owner, you know that every year brings new challenges and opportunities. The success of your business demands expertise and focus. And Country Financial can help you keep that focus by helping ensure you have the right insurance protection in place to meet your goals. Jason Wright can help you create a customized insurance plan that has coverages designed just for your business. Give Jason a call at 678-568-6871 or reach him on Facebook at Jason Wright Agency. Coverages vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
This is what matters. This is beyond X's and O's. This is the difference mutual respect makes. This is what character looks like. This is what defines us in Georgia. This is sportsmanship. School sports. It's not the outcome that matters most, but the way the games are played. This message presented by the Georgia High School Association and the Georgia Athletic Directors Association.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, contact my friend Steve Apolinski of Apolinski & Associates. He's been representing individuals for over 30 years throughout Georgia and Alabama. Email him at steve@aa-legal.com or call him 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
Welcome back. Soccer Down here, August 15th edition. John Nelson is off on the rambling roads of South Georgia now, gathering material for the upcoming high school football season. He'll hop back in before we're done. Jarrett Smith might hop on. He made himself available, but then he didn't answer his phone. So I'm going to fly solo here for just a little bit. So bear with me. I'm going to pick up in the timeline with our friend Doug Shipman, who said, subtle story from last night's Cup win. Atlanta United spends money on players. They win the Cup. Doesn't this strengthen the players in the ongoing CBA negotiations? MLS 3.0 plus. Yeah, if I'm the Players Association, I'm making a point about that. 100%. I am going to say that look and see what happens. Look and see what happens when you get a club that spends money like this. Now, there is a difference between spending money on transfer fees and spending money on player salaries. And Atlanta United hasn't been crazy on player salaries. They've been high, but not that high. They haven't been Toronto, for example. Toronto went in a different approach. They signed established players and have paid them very well to play in Toronto. And Sebastian Giovinco made a lot of money. Josie Altidore has made a lot of money. Michael Bradley has made a lot of money. I think the overriding point, though, is that if MLS is going to be better, and if MLS is going to play with and beat Mexican clubs on a regular basis, their rosters have to be better. Was a big part of what we've talked about the last couple of days. When you look at the market values for Atlanta United's roster and Club America's roster, pretty similar. That wouldn't have been the case a month ago before Club America made some big sales. They've made some money. They've brought some money in. I think they're going to spend some of that money. I think they're honestly going to spend some of that money in response to what happened in this one. Nicholas Castillo's out injured with a broken fibula. You're going to need to replace him, but I think you're also going to look at a couple other replacements based off how this match went. So, what hopefully this is all part of, and I don't think there's anything that's going to stop at this point. I honestly don't think there's a large group of owners anymore who wants to keep it as it is. Now, the conversation is probably how much do we want to increase spending? But I don't think there is any conversation about we don't want to increase spending anymore. I don't think that's the case. I think those things that floated out a while ago, and I'm talking a year ago at least, where supposedly there was a group of owners on a committee that wanted to pull it back to 2 designated players. That ship sailed a long time ago. you're probably gonna end up with 4 designated players. You're probably gonna end up with an increased salary cap. We'll see how allocation money and all that works out. I don't think they're going to get rid of it just yet, so I think you're going to have more allocation money to work with, especially TAM. I think those things are going to change. So, yeah, a win like this, it will be spun by the Players Association that, hey, look what happens when you spend. You get the things that you've said are very important. Sean Vergara on Twitter. 2 questions. Why haven't we seen a lot of Parkey this season? We'll start with that one, and we'll get into the second question in a second. We did for a while. I think we saw Parkhurst really fill a need for this team when he had to step outside and play as an outside back in a 4-man back line. I think in the 3 center back setup, you're just able to get more out of Leandro Gonzalez-Perez and Franco Escobar on either side of Miles Robinson because they can step into the attack more. That's not Parkhurst's strength. So the way this team is playing, I don't think he fits into it quite as well at the moment. Also, I think, honestly, it's just you slow down a little bit as your career goes on, and I think he's kind of hit a little bit of that where he's lost a step, and he's still a contributor to this team. I think he's a huge contributor to this team off the field. But on the field, it's going to be picking spots. It's very possible that he plays in Portland. That would not surprise me a bit because that's the kind of match. Portland's not a fast team up top, really. You're talking about Blanco and Valeri, who are your big focal points. They're a smart team. They're a veteran team. This feels like a game where Michael Parkhurst could be really important. All right. We put out the bat call, and I think we are getting San Jose Earthquakes' #1 fan, Jarrett Smith, on the line right now.
I almost wore that kit today, but then I felt bad about it.
You should feel bad. I think we are getting Jarrett Smith's wonderful audio quality on the line right now. We're going to take up a collection for a new phone for Jarrett.
No, that's not necessary.
Okay, so before your phone cuts out again, give us your thoughts on last night.
No, right. Last night things changed. Things really did change for a lot of teams and a couple leagues. Look, I watched that one at home last night. That was something to behold, though, watching Atlanta basically. It wasn't like you watched an MLS team, even one at home, bunker and counter against a team coming up from Mexico. They went out there and they tried to, and successfully at times, punched Club America in the face. And I think the style was as important as anything else we saw, including the result. I mean, if they had won with the result of, if they had won with, a 2-1 result where Atlanta gets a penalty and hits on the counter and executes a counter perfectly, but then they survive a barrage and Alan Can stands on his head, I think it's a different conversation than what you saw last night, which is Atlanta just basically took the fight to them.
It was a strong performance, and yeah, I'm with you. I think things changed. I think the perception of the league's changed. I think the perception of how you have to play top teams has changed. I think it was the first time we've seen a club from MLS, and look, Atlanta's different. They've got a different mindset. We said from the beginning this club felt like one that was built to be able to compete in CONCACAF Champions League. But you saw a team from MLS not get scared, not struggle to deal with the pressure, not have answers for the intensity and the pressure that a Mexican team can put you under. It did feel different, and it did feel like we're looking at a new day now.
And it's not going to be everybody across the board making that change. Look, Atlanta and teams like Atlanta and LA are leading that charge, and there's only going to be a handful of MLS teams. Let's be honest. There's only a handful, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 MLS teams that you're going to throw out there against the Club America and say they can go play with them. As great as the Connor Casey effect has been in Colorado, I'm not sending the Rapids to go play out against Club America. Every team plays differently, but it was fun to watch. And it was fun, like you said, to see a team with zero fear go out there and like it was no big deal. I think my favorite part for me in the moment, it was early in the match where I went, okay, this is going to be bigger than I thought it was. is early in the match when you have what's Dion, 20, 19?
Yep.
When you have Dion Pereira play a one-touch perfect ball to Emerson Hyndman, who's 23 years old, after adventuring around England and most of Scotland. You got two kids, one much younger than the other, but two young players who are not the superstars on this team, combined for a goal that, let's be honest, you're used to seeing scored against MLS teams.
It's a different mentality. I mean, look, the way
it's
the
swagger.
Constructed,
Jesus,
yeah,
it's a swagger.
It's an attitude. I mean, LAFC, I think, has the ability to do this. We'll have to see if they have the mental fortitude to do it. I think the LA Galaxy, as they're constructed and led by Guillermo Barros Escaloto, they can play these types of matches, and they can play them effectively. The Red Bulls have a very identifiable style. They're not going to change for anybody, and they've been difficult to deal with in CONCACAF Champions League. I think San Jose is building towards that. I don't know if they have the roster at the moment, but Matias Almeida has won CONCACAF Champions League, so he knows exactly what it takes. You've got some changes. Dome Toronto, NYCFC. They are playing a style of play that can do well in this. Think back to years ago where English teams struggled in the Champions League in Europe, and the conversation was always, well, the English style is this, and you need a team that has a continental style. You need a team that can play differently and play like your Real Madrids and your Juves and so on and so forth. It's a little bit of that with Major League Soccer, and now you're getting teams that play just a more mature, advanced style with more layers to it that can handle these moments.
And I'm going to get way ahead of myself here and cause problems by doing so.
Go
but
ahead. That's what you do.
Don't tell me you didn't watch last night and think, if the core of this stays together and the mentality of this stays together, if you can get into CONCACAF Champions League and play like this in CONCACAF Champions League with a style established and not have to be installing a new style as you go to play Monterrey. Imagine taking this into CONCACAF Champions League where you're more comfortable in what you're doing.
Look, you got 3 teams in CONCACAF that have a roster with a higher value, and we're just talking strictly about the player quality as seen by the marketplace. You have 3 teams in CONCACAF that have a higher market value than Atlanta United. Or 4, because I think Club America is slightly higher. So Club America, Cruz Azul, Tigres, Monterrey. That's it. Monterrey and Tigres, you're talking about a jump. You're talking about a big jump, especially Monterrey. Cruz Azul, slight jump. Club America, pretty much the same. That's really big, because it's one thing to have the mentality, and that's something that has been needed. It's also just to have the straight-up quality. Atlanta United's got the quality to play in these big games and perform well. And I don't think this is the last time we're going to see it.
No, I don't think so either. And it's nice to sit there on the couch and watch this game, because it's not in the press box. I can just be like emotional and laughing and just cackling at the stuff going on in the game, and not have to sit there and, be a little bit slightly more professional about the way I conduct myself. But just the fun of watching PT just run at guys, watching Dion Pereira play like the guy who earned those minutes in the middle of the season. Kind of show you, and we saw it at times when he was getting minutes early in the season, when he was just stealing minutes from people. Was show you what Frank de Boer is seeing in him to hand this kid minutes going up against Club America, and he just looked like he didn't care if it was Club America or Colorado Rapids practice team. Like, it was no big deal. But just seeing all of them just play with such reckless abandon. Jeff Larenowitz's transformation into Old Man Logan is just my favorite thing in the world right now. And Darlington Nagbe, who just continues to be the best in this city has ever seen since Mike Vick at getting out of trouble look like a secondary motion.
That's a good shout. Definitely the case. I don't know how he is the world's greatest escape artist.
Well, I forget how I will never remember. I'll have to go dig through audio, but There was one of the players last year who mentioned, talking about Nagbe, said he has the fastest first 2 steps with the ball at his feet that he'd ever seen. In terms of standing still, when Nagbe is standing still with the ball, those first 2 steps are absolutely lethal. He doesn't use them necessarily to beat you in on goal. But when he gets the ball at his feet, somebody's on his back, those first 2 steps get him around somebody. He's got 30 yards of space. He can start moving. Just the quickness he has with those first 2 steps is just insane. And you watch him and everything just looks effortless. It's like watching Vic dodge traffic. It's like watching Barry Sanders take hits. He never seems to take a solid hit. It's always, when Nagbe's fouled, it almost looks like it's a glancing blow. Like he sees it coming and he's going to minimize the impact. It's just a 360 vision, basically, and it's absolutely terrifying.
He's got a great change of pace. I'm going to blame it on the boot phone. I think it has to do with the boot phone.
Yeah. Which might be why Michael Parkhurst was using it.
Yes, I think Parkhurst is trying to get some of that for Sunday in Portland. That was great. A lot of the tweets from the guys last night. Look, this was not just a random match for them. Florentine Pogba had to be dragged off the field celebrating. I mean, like almost literally. Somebody came out and grabbed his arms like, all right, come on, we got to go. It's time to take it
Find me
inside.
the person who predicted that Florentine Pogba would not only contribute to 2019 Atlanta United, but be like a cog in this team.
Well, let's not overstate it just yet. Yeah, I think off the field, very much so. He's a huge part of this team's personality. And we're seeing it on the field now that he's fully fit, now that he's getting back that sharpness. Look, that's been the issue for Florentine Pogba throughout his career. It's just consistency. It's just staying fit. It's just putting game after game together. And that's what you want to start to see because we see the quality. He made mistakes last night. He was not perfect. I don't think really anybody was, with maybe the exception of Darlington Nagbe. But Florentine Pogba came up big in some big moments for this team. That's why he was our man of the match on radio. He just plays with something different. And last night was the first time that I thought he looked fast. And maybe it's just taken this long to get his body right and get sharp, but he had an extra gear last night that we hadn't really seen much of.
The other thing that I will harp on, and had this discussion with people during the game, is Joseph Martinez is everything I want in my star in terms of after he gets a penalty saved, which we can debate till the cows come home about whether or not that should have been retaken.
It should have been.
But that being said, you had a guy, and he showed this in year 1 in 2017 when they went to D.C. and lost, when Bill Hamid saves his free kick at the very end of the game.
Yep.
What you saw then is what you saw last night, which is a guy who demands the ball and demands the moment and doesn't give a damn if he fails in the moment. He wants that ball in that moment. He wants that pressure, and he's going to live with whatever happens because he's convinced that he's going to get it right. And that's what I need out of my superstar. And that's what Joseph Martinez gives you.
He is I don't know if he'll wear the captain's armband on a regular basis for this club, but he is the embodiment of what Atlanta United can be. It's really cool to see. And there will be a statue. We know this. There will definitely be a statue for Joseph Martinez. You probably don't want to do it until you get a little bit later in his time in Atlanta. But there's going to be a statue, and we all know this.
Oh, there's going to be a statue, and there might be a smaller one of Leandro Gonzalez-Perez yelling at somebody.
And then Tito next to them with the holding up an invisible trophy.
Yes.
I'll take
There's a
all
lot
three
you
of those.
could go here. There's discussed with somebody the other day about having a Tata statue with the jacket draped over the shoulders, just staring out at the fans.
I mean, you're just creating a gnome garden at this point, Jared.
Look, I mean, this is what happens when you have a team that tries to shake things up and does it in a way that, remember, Atlanta United came in. They didn't really know it at the time, but they had probably the best player MLS has ever seen and the best striker that MLS has ever seen at the same time. And that was before they played a game. So sometimes you hit oil in a very big way. And Atlanta took advantage of it, and they hit the ground running, and they've just used that momentum to keep pushing the rock.
Yeah, you keep going when you find that, and you just keep trying to build upon it. It's been really cool to see. Nick Alifi says you need to go back to your nuclear bunker and get back to work.
It's debatable. Nick's just jealous that I have to go through like lead doors.
Well, go back through your lead doors. Thanks for hopping on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. We're going to take a quick break. Come back right after this.
Looking for future leaders we can trust and believe in? Look no further than the high school student athletes right here in Georgia. High school sports teach young people how to be effective leaders. It begins by making their grades and being on time for practice. It includes learning to listen, following directions, accepting responsibility, being a good role model. And it's about respect for officials, opponents, the rules, and each other. The result? It transcends sports. It gives us hope for the future. High school sports. There's so much more than just a game. This message presented by the Georgia High School Association and the Georgia Athletic Directors Association.
Today's show is presented by Appolinsky & Associates, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience, supporters of Atlanta United, Faction, and Inter-Atlanta Youth Football Club. If you've been hurt in a wreck, contact Steve today at steve@aa-legal.com or call in 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Welcome back. Soccer Down here, August 15th edition of the show. It's an overreaction Thursday. All the reactions about Atlanta United winning Campeones Cup last night over Club America 3-2 in a wild one at the Benz. Get your tweets in at Soccer Down here. It's the last call. There's a bunch of news that we've got to touch on before we wrap up. Some just broke a little bit ago. And we'll get the school bell for it because this one, I'm interested in where this is going to go. So the National Independent Soccer Association, the NISA, talked about it before. It is a Division III sanctioned professional league, same level as USL League One. They made a big announcement. Coming off of a successful Board of Governors meeting, the National Independent Soccer Association announces 3 new member clubs to its professional landscape. Quote, bringing Chattanooga FC, Detroit City FC, and Oakland Roots SC all into NISA at the same time is very exciting. These clubs truly represent their communities and are proof the open system for soccer is the best way forward. Each has built their support the correct way, and that support will sustain them and NISA for years to come. Congratulations to each of them, parentheses, owners, staff, players, and supporters, for taking that step to play professional soccer, stated NISA Commissioner John Prutch. Chattanooga, Detroit City, Oakland Roots, I thought was already in the league because they're on the schedule for this fall. But anyway, I don't understand some of the messaging behind the NISA. Chattanooga and Detroit were set to play a couple of exhibitions that were sanctioned by the NISA this fall. No surprise at all that they end up in the NISA. They don't have anywhere else to go. The NPSL professional idea has kind of gone kaput at this point. Remember, they were going to have a fall league this year that with 12 teams. Now it ended up as a members cup with 6. They struggled to figure out how to deal with insurance and just the things that come from being a professional organization. They're also, not being a professional league, referees become an issue. You're not being booked by Probe, the professional referees organization. It's a far more difficult process to deal with. So, Chattanooga and Detroit, not surprised that they have outgrown that because they're both big clubs. Chattanooga, Tim Kelly said, everyone at Chattanooga FC is excited about being accepted into NISA and joining the ranks of American professional soccer. This fulfills a promise to our 3,254 supporter-owners while maintaining the philosophical tenets the club has held since our founding in 2009. I want to see how these clubs handle it. First off, I want to get back to a bigger picture when it comes to the NISA. The way all of this has been handled, July 25th, they announced a fall schedule. And I'm trying to open it, and it just keeps opening up the current announcement. That gets back to the even bigger point. The organization behind this league is very difficult to follow. I want to look at the schedule. I see related articles. I click on a link that says NISA announces Fall 19 schedule because we talked about it on the show. You click the link, it takes you back to the initial press release that I'm already reading. So I will try to find the schedule. But Oakland Roots were already on the schedule, so I don't know why now they're being announced. They're set to kick off on August 31st. It's August 15th. There's an Atlanta team in this league. They're going to be kicking off in the next few weeks. All that's true. That was announced. However, I don't know what's going on with said club because when you go to their Twitter, Atlanta SC, ATL Soccer Club on Twitter, they never announced that they're playing in the NISA. Their last tweet was July 5th. This is the frustration with wanting this league to be big and be a big deal, because it can be. There's a place for it. Professional soccer in Chattanooga, it should have happened years ago. Professional soccer in Detroit, they've built a brand. That absolutely should be successful. It doesn't have to be MLS to be successful. It doesn't have to be USL Championship. They can do their own thing. All these things can be successful. But when you say, and this is what will drive you crazy, and this is what drives me crazy specifically. Maybe it's just it'll drive me crazy. When you make a statement like the NISA commissioner does and says each has built their support the correct way, one, that's saying that other clubs have built their support the incorrect way, and that's a judgment that I think is a very bold one to make. From an organization that can't make it easy for me to look up their schedule, and two, has members in it that haven't announced that they're in the league, and they're supposed to be playing in a few weeks. Come on, guys. If you're going to be professional, you have to put off a professional product. This is frustrating. I want this to be successful because we've said from day one on this show, there are markets that are outside of Major League Soccer, outside of USL Championship, outside of USL League One, outside of USL League Two, outside of the NPSL, the UPSL, the Gulf Coast Premier League, any league. There's markets that don't have soccer teams. And they can have soccer teams and be successful. You look at what's happened in Asheville, for example. Asheville has been very successful. At the NPSL level, they have been extremely successful. And they've created a platform that maybe they could be an NISA club or a USL League One club. Don't know. We'll see what they can grow into. But when you make this step, you have to be prepared. When you make this step and ask people to buy tickets and buy jerseys and spread the word, you have to be prepared And this league's going to kick off in a couple of weeks, and it feels so thrown together. So from the announcement, all right, you're adding these teams. I mean, that's the first line in the announcement. The National Independent Soccer Association announces 3 new member clubs to its professional landscape. You got a paragraph on Chattanooga. You got a paragraph on Detroit. We saw the original schedule. They weren't on it. They were playing a friendly match. Okay, Oakland is playing in the season. Is it the season? What is it? Is it a half season? Is it a kickoff season? Is it a tournament? What is happening starting on August 31st when Oakland plays Cal United? Because you're telling me that Chattanooga and Detroit are in the league. Are they? Aren't they? When are things happening? Make it clear. Just like we said earlier about Major League Soccer and the way that they portrayed the Campeones Cup, if the league can't sell the product and explain it cleanly to people who want it, Chattanooga has 3,254 supporter-owners. They are financially invested in that club. Make it easy for them to be emotionally invested too. Make it easy for the thousands of fans of Detroit City FC to know what's going on. Because when one club in the league looks unprepared, unprofessional, whatever, it affects the perception of the league. Just make it easy for people to know what's going on. We talk soccer every day, and it's not easy to talk about the National Independent Soccer Association because they don't make it easy. And they've had change after change after change, and they make announcements, and it feels kind of halfway, and don't know how there's a fall 19 schedule coming up. Is that its own tournament? Does the winner go into playoffs? What does it look like? How could I watch these games? Can I watch these games? Do I have to be in the stadium to watch these games? How can I keep up with the teams? Who is signed to the teams? I know Jack McInerney signed with the Oakland Roots. But according to this release, it seems like the Oakland Roots weren't part of the league until now. But they signed him, and they were already on the schedule. It's confusion, and it can be so much better. And it needs to be. Because these clubs, if they go into this and it doesn't work, it leaves a black eye for the sport in that market. And that's the frustrating part. Chris Ashley, our friend up in Greenville, who does the Greenville Triumph Weekly with John Nelson, he blew this up to us, made sure we saw it. He also said, as a follow-up, what does this mean for teams like the Georgia Revolution, Asheville City, and Greenville FC? The NPSL Southeast is dissolving quickly. It doesn't have to. And I think anytime these things happen, there's an opportunity. And the NPSL Southeast, look, I have a pretty strong emotional connection to it because I was there day one with Atlanta FC that became the Silverbacks Reserves and eventually became the Silverbacks and now is Atlanta SC, which is moving to the NISA, I guess, even though they haven't tweeted about it. First season, it was 3 teams. It was Rocket City United in Huntsville, it was Atlanta, and it was a team in Greenville. Well, technically, none of those exist anymore. It took a lot of time to get to a point where the South region, because that was the whole South region at that point, it took a lot of time to get to where now you have multiple conferences in the South region. You have a Heartland Conference, a Lone Star Conference, a Southeast Conference, a Sunshine Conference. This past season, you had the Georgia Revolution, Greenville FC, Nashville, Atlanta SC as part of it, Asheville, Chattanooga. All right, so Atlanta and Chattanooga have stepped away. What does it mean for the rest? I think you want to recruit. I think you want to fill in some of the gaps. I think you want to look at some of the parts of the region that don't have teams. And this is something that Chattanooga did a great job with over the years. Chattanooga helped Asheville when they launched. Best practices, shared things with them, helped them get off the ground. Would love to see a club like Asheville now take some of that on. I know Greenville FC does a lot of that type of stuff too. They've learned from other clubs around. Now they become the leaders, and now they step up, and they start to spread the word about what it takes. You've got markets like Athens, Georgia, Columbia, South Carolina. Knoxville has been part of the league before. They're not now. You have markets within that footprint that don't have teams or have teams at local levels or to UPSL level or regional levels that might be able to make the step up to NPSL because it is a commitment. And you're going to need more to survive. Or you're going to have longer trips because there's a lot of teams in the South region. And teams at this level, the travel can really get you because it just jacks up your costs really fast. So I think, Chris, what it takes is it's the clubs that are existing come together, figure out what they want this region to be, and then work to grow it. That was what it was in the very beginning, and it was, like us, it was Huntsville. Andy Zorovich was chairman of the NPSL for a number of years. He really kept it afloat in some difficult times. It was Chattanooga. It was clubs like that led the way and had to think about the group as a whole and not just their own club. And that's what it's going to take for Asheville and Greenville and the rest to continue to grow it. They're going to have to work together, and they're going to have to get back to the NPSL mindset of banding together and being partners off the field and competitors on it. And I hope that they can do that because there's a place for it. Because Chattanooga's moved up to NISA, it doesn't mean NPSL is bad. It means that Chattanooga's outgrown it. And ultimately, that's a good thing. Now they have to be a big enough club to sustain themselves and continue to grow at a professional third division level. And I'm looking forward to seeing how they handle that in Detroit and the rest of this league because I think there's valid questions right now about what's going to happen with this league. It's very strange, and I hope that it becomes less strange once we get into games and such. Some other news before we get back into the Twitter timeline to finish up. Yesterday, the U.S. Women's National Team and U.S. Soccer Federation, the arbitration talks broke down. Bad news. And this is the statement from Molly Levinson, a spokeswoman for the players. She said, "We entered this week's mediation with representatives of USSF full of hope. Today we must conclude these meetings sorely disappointed in the Federation's determination to perpetuate fundamentally discriminatory workplace conditions and behavior. It is clear that the USSF, including its board of directors and President Carlos Cordero, fully intend to continue to compensate women players less than men. They will not succeed. We want all of our fans, sponsors, peers around the world, and women everywhere to know that we are undaunted and will eagerly look forward to a jury trial." Not what anybody was hoping to hear, because this is not going to help make this an easy situation. It's not going to help make it a comfortable resolution. And it's only going to get worse with the rhetoric on both sides, because that's what happens when you get to this point. Don't know who's to blame. Don't know if it's all blame on one side. I'm assuming, because generally the way these things work out, there's some blame to go around. I hope that they can figure out what's best for the game as a whole, because that's U.S. Soccer's. That's what they're supposed to do. That's what their role is. And I hope that the Women's Players Association can look at it for the bigger picture as well, because I think the last CBA was very good for a small number of top players who were playing for the national team. Maybe not what it could have been for the potential players down the line. And I hope that it's a little bit broader approach here. Stop the rhetoric. Get this sorted out for the good of the game on both sides, because it needs to happen. Because, and no, this is not specifically about the NWSL. This is about the women's national team and the federation, but it affects the NWSL. And things like this make it easier for a player like a Sam Kerr to leave the NWSL. Sam Kerr is in a situation where she splits her time between the NWSL and playing in the W League in Australia, and she is paid very well to play in Australia. The NWSL is a good supplement to that, the way the schedules work. Well, now the Australian Federation is trying very hard to keep Sam Kerr because they don't want to lose her to a Chelsea, to a Real Madrid, to a top club in Europe, because then she's not going to be available to play in the W League. The W League and the NWSL can work together in some of these situations to keep top talent. They're going to have to figure that out, because if they don't, you're going to lose these players, and it's going to be a big loss for the overall product. That's going to have to change. Another bit of news that came out yesterday, St. Louis, Major League Soccer, looks like you could have an announcement on Tuesday. St. Louis Post-Dispatch ran with that yesterday evening. So stay tuned. Not a shock. I think it's what everybody expected, just waiting on the timeline. And it looks like Tuesday it will be announced. And according to the report over at the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, this team would start in 2022. So at this point, what we know, assuming that is correct, Miami, Nashville, 2020. Austin, 2021. St. Louis, 2022. Who's next? Don't know. 29 and 30, we don't know yet. Sacramento says they're close. Charlotte, talking a big game. Is that 29 and 30? Might be. We'll have to wait and see. Stay tuned on that. All right. I believe John Nelson has not run into anything in his travels in South Georgia. I think the van is intact. Probably because he wasn't driving.
I'm not driving, so I haven't run into anything except large gentlemen between the ages of 15 and 18 and their coaches.
All right. Well, he didn't get beat up, so that's good.
No, not
he
yet.
Didn't get thrown out of an office. I don't think.
Yep.
Oh, no, but maybe he did get thrown out of an office. Do you want to talk about that, John?
No, I didn't get thrown out of an office.
Okay,
we asked the coach, and everything was fine, and he had to go for his meeting with the Chamber of Commerce, and so that was why we had to do things a little early this morning instead of after the show was over. So we had to kind of accelerate our timetable a little bit.
Okay. Well, we still got a few tweets to finish up with. We talked NISA news, so we've covered that.
Yeah.
Sean Vergara had two questions. We talked about one with Michael Parkhurst. The second one was, what did you think of Parkey letting Big Red hoist the trophy? They discussed it, and I just think this team constantly does what is best for the group over the individual. No,
yes.
Lorenowitz wanted Parkhurst to race
He wanted Parkhurst to do it, and Parkhurst was like, no, I'm not going to do it.
Lorenowitz walked away. The president of Liga MX, Enrique Bonilla, turns around, has the trophy in his hands, and he's like, where'd he go? Because Lorenowitz walks over to try to drag Parkhurst up there, and Parky's not having it, which is really cool. I mean, the way you see these moments happen, and look, I remember the 2015 U.S. women's team because Christina Rampone and Abby Wambach were your captains. I think Abby was on the field at the end in the final. That final played out to where you could do whatever you wanted with the subs at the end. And the two of them raised it together, and they weren't really key players in the team by that stage. Both had become reserves and kind of off-the-field figures. In this case, Parkhurst not on the field, refusing 100%, saying no.
Yes.
This is your time, Jeff, and that was very cool to see for Jeff. It was cool that he tried to defer to the club captain. It's also cool that Parkhurst made Jeff have that moment.
Yeah, and that to me was part of the team makeup that we've seen, and you see it in the photos, and I still want to know who Darlington Nagbe is calling on the shoe phone, pulling his Inspector
He was calling
Gadget.
Parkhurst. Parkhurst was on the other line.
That's what Darlington says.
Well, he was on the line, so I would assume he knows who he was talking to.
So, but there's no subterfuge as to who he's talking to in these situations?
He said he was talking to Parkhurst.
On the shoe phone, yes. But are we sure?
I think the South Georgia Heat has gotten to John Nelson, and he is making less sense than normal. All right. Steve the Pirate with a question. I want your take on it, John. Would Campeones Cup plus U.S. Open Cup plus MLS Cup count as a treble?
Of course. Of course it would. It's like when Pep Guardiola is saying that we won the quad, and he's including things that happen at the beginning of the year that people seem to forget. When you win a treble, when you win a quad, you win a treble, you win a quad. For me, it's however many you line up and knock down, it's a treble. Campeones, Open Cup, MLS Cup, treble. Boom.
So last year, the argument when it came to Manchester City and what they accomplished, was it the Community Shield?
Yeah, it was the Community Shield.
Okay, so they won that, and they won the League Cup, and they won the FA Cup, and they won the league. And
Yes.
Some people were trying to say that it was a treble. Some people were trying to say that it was a quad.
Yeah, Pep said it was a quad, so it's a quad.
I'm fine with that. So then
They pulled a quad last year, man.
Ay, Dios mío. So yes, I will agree that this would be a treble. Super Cup wins. I mean, yeah, it's one that's kind of a gray area. I think some clubs will claim it as such, some won't. Honestly, I think it's for the good of this game and its importance to claim it in that way. So Steve the Pirate argues that beating a first-choice Club America is more of an accomplishment than beating a USL team in Vancouver, trying to throw some shade at our friends north of the border in Toronto.
Whitecaps 2? Is that what Steve is claiming that they were at the time?
No. When in 2017, when Toronto won, they had a semifinal and a final in the Canadian Championship. So they played one more round than a Campeones Cup win would be. Now you have the Canadian Premier League teams, and there's a little more competition and more teams involved in it. So it's turning into an
unless,
Open Cup
of course,
situation.
you're at plus 1250 like Ottawa was last night.
That's not the point. The point is that you're actually playing more rounds than just 2. Or at least there's more rounds to the tournament than just 2. So we'll see.
Yes.
I think it's a treble if you win both, but you got to win. You got to win everything first. So let's wait and see what happens.
Yes.
Derek Creighton
You've
says
won
the crowd
a trophy and you have the line for a couple more.
Yes. Derek Creighton says the crowd was like a championship fight. I love this game. It was great. The vibe was great. And John has
as many.
There he is. He dribbled into a spot where there was bad reception in Tifton, and now he's back.
Correct. I'm on my way to Oscilla.
I don't know what Skype reception's like between
I don't know
Tifton and Oscilla.
No. But when you have a crowd, I don't know, what was the breakdown, do you think, percentage-wise with Club America fans and Atlanta United fans last night?
That's pretty close to 50-50. I mean,
yeah,
it was very interesting to hear how Atlanta United gets the early goal. Everybody's kind of shocked. Club America gets a goal. It's loud. Club America goes up 2-1. It's loud. Atlanta United answers back with Lorenowitz. It's loud. And it felt like it kind of had a championship fight vibe where it's somewhat of a split crowd and people are rocking with both sides and bouncing back and forth. It was cool. It was very cool. It was different. It's not something that we've experienced ever at the Benz with that much of an opposition support. But it was fun.
And that was why I asked, because I think that Derek's analogy is correct. When it's a championship fight and you have two fighters in there and people are buying tickets to go see something at Caesars or wherever they go see them these days. And it's you got two guys in the middle of the ring trading punches and you're fans of either fighter. And so you end up with what you had last night. And so once again, guilty as charged that I listened to the broadcast on 92.9 and did not listen to the TV version. But it sounded, and props to Miller Pope, it sounded like that heavyweight fight of everybody trading punches right and left and the fans for the opposite side reacting accordingly each time through.
Yeah, Miller Pope's a legend, first off, and everybody needs to know that when it comes to sports broadcasting. But, yeah, it had a different feel in the building because of that last night. It was very cool. I mean, Mike and I couldn't help but be sucked up into the emotion of it. So it was a lot of fun. Joel, Mr. Runner 76 on Twitter with a statement. Atlanta United wants to be known internationally. People may say Campeones Cup is a friendly or not important, but a journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. The win is another step in advancing our team and league on the world stage. You're welcome, MLS.
No doubt. And
now just
that
talk
was
about
what
it like it's a big deal, please.
Yeah, I mean, just do that with your folks. But that's what Darren and everybody from the beginning has wanted to be. You've wanted to be that international brand. And this was another step in that direction of adding to that pedigree. And what was the Spanish media doing after the match was over? They were blowing it up, were they not?
Mm-hmm. They had Joseph on like an hour after the game.
Blowing it up. And LGP saying what he said after the match. And all of those dynamics in play. And having a first for an MLS side in this tournament where you knock off Club America and you can put that trophy in the trophy case and have 3 or 4 spotlights and keys and fills in all the right places so you can see what you got. You're adding to that pedigree step by step and time by time. So, no, definitely another situation where you get to wave your flag on an international stage.
Who would have thought that Leandro Gonzalez-Perez in the last month has stood up for the Major League Soccer players and spoken with the Players Association leadership in a very eloquent way about what needs to grow for the league, but then also on the other side of it stands in front of the media in a Rooster trucker hat, which is just awesome, by the way, and tells everybody, stop with the old stories about MLS and Mexico. Stop. We took it toe-to-toe with Monterrey. We beat Club America. Stop. Very cool to see LGP put the league
Future
on his
captain.
back. Future commissioner if he keeps it up. Jason Wright, our commissioner of our fantasy league, says, why is it that the Vegas TV commercial about people running around with a vase singing Campeones, Campeones, ole, 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 keeps going through my head today? You know, it kind of does.
Hey, as it should.
It kind of does. All right. Anything else on the Twitter timeline as I scroll through? Patrick Cox says, not going to lie, wasn't that excited about the match last night. Ended up yelling at the TV and making more noise than Jarrett Smith on a Soccer Down Here interview. Louder than his turn signal loud. Patrick Cox, you win everything today. That is outstanding.
Yeah, that's the TOD.
That is outstanding. Michael Valverde says, let's just celebrate Mike Conti for a moment this morning. His call never disappoints. So grateful to have him narrating Atlanta United as they make history. Yeah, Mike was into it last night. It was a lot of fun. I got compared to Morgan Freeman last night during the broadcast.
He did?
I did.
Oh, you did?
Because Mike was going crazy, and I was the cool Morgan Freeman next to him, is what somebody tweeted at us.
And then Campeones Cup, Jeff Lorenowitz launched from 25.
Yeah, I was the cool Morgan Freeman guy in the background until, hold on, this happened.
Off into the far corner, Gressel, cross at the penalty spot. It's knocked down by Cordova. It rolls now to Lorenowitz, shot from distance. Score! Golazo! And Atlanta United gets a thunderclap to equalize.
I just saw that falling to Jeff, and I saw him line it up, and when he hit it,
the
and it
new
came
breaking
off his
news sounder. We're going to clip that, and that's going to be the new breaking news sounder.
Well, y'all have fun. All right, final couple ones here. Tafka, never mind the absence of players and teams and schedule, talking about the NISA. What fans are going to show up to a match in 2 weeks when we have no idea who, what, when, where?
For real. Where are the players going to come from?
I don't know. I mean, I have no idea. I talked to somebody yesterday who has talked to the NISA team in Atlanta, and he doesn't know who's playing or what's going on, or we know where
What
they're
if there was a
playing.
league and there were no players and your schedule was just around the corner?
Okay, the South Georgia heat has definitely gotten to John, that's for sure. Or the you bumped your head in the van. I don't know. It could be either one. Maybe both. But
Morgan Freeman being 30 for 30 on the NISA.
Yeah, something like that. It's affected this league. I mean, as we have said about any league, you can have a great product in your community. Chattanooga, Detroit have a great situation going. Oakland Roots, what they're doing, like from a branding perspective, it looks really cool. I'm interested. I want to see what happens.
I do too.
But I'm interested because of competition. I'm not interested because Chattanooga FC is really cool and they have 3,254 investor supporters. That's great. I'm not sold on watching investor supporters. I'm sold on watching soccer
product
in a league
on the pitch
competition. And to do that, there's two teams, and you need to know who's on the other team. Why should I think about the other team? What are they doing? Are they good? Who's their best players? Who are these people? What's happening with them? You need to know these things to follow a league. I really want this thing to work because there are markets that cannot be served by existing leagues. There are markets that want to do things a little differently. All that is wonderful, but there are certain expectations that have to be met.
Yeah. Rosters, players,
announcements, tweets.
Yes.
Instead
of just parachute drop PDFs.
There was a tweet weeks ago about a team in Atlanta, and they said who they were.
Do we know where they're playing?
Yes, they have a place announced. They have not tweeted. The team has not tweeted. This is the whole point. I've never seen this happen before. Yeah, you're in the league. Hey, the league
playing
says,
in 2
this
weeks.
team's in the league. They're in the league. They're great. They're going to be in the league. The team itself hasn't said a word publicly.
True.
In over 2 months.
Yeah.
Over a month, sorry. 5 weeks.
Still.
That was about
It's
another
over 30
league that
days.
they played in. It does. I don't frickin' care. It was in another competition is the last time they tweeted anything. They've been announced as playing in a professional league, which is a different league than what they were in before. A higher level. And they
starting in a
haven't
couple weeks.
Publicly said a thing, and they play a game in a few weeks.
Correct.
What are we doing?
See, that's where we
Taylor
need
12.
that drop. Yes.
I
what are we doing?
It's just it's mind blowing because you want me to treat you
so
as
concerned, and I don't want to be.
No, I want to be concerned because I want to talk about this league as a professional league, just like we talk about the
right.
USL
No, I'm
League
there
One.
with you.
Just like we talk about USL Championship, just like we talk about the NWSL. I want to talk about professional soccer in the United States and in this region, and there are teams in this region. It's really difficult to talk about something that feels like it's on double secret probation and exists in somebody's basement.
Yeah, it is. Check and double check.
There are standards that have to be met. You can't tell me you're professional and not act that way. Chattanooga is going to raise the level 100%. Detroit
City
will raise the level. They have existing things, but they can't do it in isolation. So I really hope it changes. I want to talk about this league. I hope it's a good thing. I hope that these
I don't want to talk about the NISA like the old World Football League. I really don't.
Well, they got pretty
That's your
logos
Google
for
reference
some
of the
teams.
day.
That's all I know at this point. And they're going to play some games starting up, but I don't know how I could watch them or what's going to happen with them. And I know Jack McInerney and a handful of other players are signed to the Oakland Roots. That's all I got. So I hope it works out. And we will talk about it when there's soccer to talk about and we can actually find it. So anyway, you can't just say you're professional by putting a tweet out there or not putting a tweet out there in some cases. El Mataflow just got an email for open tryouts for Atlanta SC as we're discussing this.
Far out.
Open frickin' tryouts and you play in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Have fun. Maybe we'll be able to actually see these games. I want it to work because there's plenty of market to go around. But, man, you got to be ready to deal with this stuff because you come out half-cocked with a bad impression and you never get a chance to bounce back from that. Go ask the XFL years ago, and they had ratings. Go ask the Alliance of American Football. They had ratings. They actually got people to look at week one. That's a step above what we're talking about here. People didn't stick around because the quality wasn't good, because the communication wasn't good, because the content wasn't good.
Yeah, AAF had markets, and across the board just did not operate. I mean, burning through a boatload of money and never get a second chance to make a first impression.
That's what it's about. And you have to also be able to follow up when you get people interested. Right now, I don't know if people are interested because I don't know how they are, because it feels like a Dungeons and Dragons league. And then if they are interested, how do they maintain interest if you can't do the basics? So El Monteflo might be playing for Atlanta SC. He might be the starting striker. I don't know.
And do a report for us.
I don't know. I got nothing anymore. So anyway, that's it. We're done. It's been enough today. I really want the NASA to work out. I hope that people understand that. I get frustrated when I want to talk about you in a professional way, and I can't. Because I can't even click on the NASA announces Fall 19 schedule link, and I don't know. And there's a team in my market that I don't even know what it is. So
I remember that one tweet that the league came out with that posted the full schedule as a PDF, and you had exhibitions listed and teams and things like that, but that's the last I've seen of it.
I mean, I am on their website, on their main page right now. There is no schedule link. There is no news link.
Oof.
I got nothing. There's a team here, and I'd like to talk about it, and I can't because you're not allowing me to. But then in a press release, you say that these clubs have built their support the correct way. You can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't do that. So please get it right, NASA. You've still got time. Please get it right. Please don't mess up soccer in some of these markets because you're not prepared to do this the way that you're trying to tell us that you are. Please get it right for the good of the game. Just like U.S. Soccer Federation and U.S. Women's National Team players, please get it right for the good of the game, not in the short term, in the long term. Please go back to the table and do this the correct way, and don't have the spectacle of a jury trial to decide this. Please think bigger. Please. And please, MLS, when you talk about Campeones Cup and you have these big moments, please capitalize on them and make it the big deal that it deserves, because the game doesn't grow if you don't. It's been unprecedented growth over the last few years with all of this. That doesn't mean it will always continue unabated. So, please, all of these folks in all of these different realms and all of these different things, please take your job seriously. Please understand that you have a responsibility. Please do that, and please think for the good of the game and all of this. We'll be back to talk more about the good of the game tomorrow.
Check.
We've got a weekend match in Portland to preview. We've got an Atlanta United 2 match against Swope Park Rangers to talk about tomorrow night at Fifth Third Bank Stadium. Come out and watch that if you can. If not, you can watch on ESPN Plus and listen to John and I talk about it. Please support your local teams. Please continue to spread the word, and thanks for spreading the word about us, and thanks for listening and being involved in the show and communicating with us all morning. We really, really, really appreciate it. It was a fun night last night at the Benz. Get some rest, everybody. Mucho plati, y'all.
Mucho plati.